Washington, D.C. 2013. At the citizen hearing on disclosure, 6 former members of the United States Congress listened to testimony from former high-ranking government and military officials, along with a variety of scientists and researchers, about extraterrestrial presence engaging the human race. One of the speakers was former Canadian Defense Minister Paul Hellyer.
The American people and the people of the world have a right to know. UFOs are as real as the airplanes flying overhead. We live in a cosmos teeming with life.
To have a former defense minister and deputy prime minister come out and say that the UFO phenomenon is real and that we're being visited and that there's a government cover-up is in of itself sensational. And he also expressed the view that some alien civilizations are concerned about humanity and do not want to share technology with the human race for fear that we are not ready for it, that we'll abuse that technology. We are, after all, a race that has used atomic bombs on our own people.
Other distinguished speakers at the citizen hearing on disclosure included nuclear physicist Stanton Friedman, retired Air Force Captain Robert Salas, and a former official for the Federal Aviation Administration, John Callahan, all of whom corroborated Paul Hellyer's assertion that we are being visited by otherworldly beings. They also claim that these visitors have an interest in our technological advancements, especially when it comes to nuclear weapons.
These objects know in great detail how our missiles operate. They can shut down our missiles at any time. If you release that information to the public, what do you say then about, you know, what kind of defense do we have against these things?
Could the UFO phenomenon be real? And is it possible that extraterrestrials have been monitoring and perhaps even interfering with the technological advancement of mankind? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest that the earliest and perhaps strongest evidence of this can be found in the biblical story of the Tower of Babel. According to the book of Genesis, the Tower of Babel was built in Mesopotamia after the Great Flood. Some accounts suggest it reached nearly 30 stories, or 300 feet tall. It was described as a bridge between heaven and earth, built by a unified people.
Someone got the idea of building a tower to heaven, to make a name for ourselves. Well, this starts to become hubris, where you start challenging the gods. This is a key idea, a certain kind of arrogance that is starting to think that you are a god. And so, as the tower lifts up, God is annoyed.
When you look at the story of the Tower of Babel, it's essentially a story of mankind developing technology and being like the gods, being like our extraterrestrial creators. And therefore, mankind was, in a sense, kept from reaching a technological level.
The word Babel means gate to God. And some believe that the gate to God was, in fact, a stargate, a ladder, tower, or stairway that reached into the heavens. And so when God saw that humankind were building a stargate, this was too much.
Well, what happened next? Powers that be watched. They observed. They spoke to one another, saying, we have to descend to the earth to bring an assault upon the builders of the tower. What kind of an assault? The biblical text is very clear. They touched the minds of the people and corrupted their spirit of unity.
The Tower of Babel story really relates to a decision that these so-called gods had made. Human beings were not only supposed to speak different languages, they were also supposed to fight with each other. They were supposed to come into conflict with each other. And as long as they're squabbling with each other, they're not going to unite and fight against you.
I believe whoever got involved realized these human beings are coming on pretty darn fast. We had to slow this down a little bit, and that's what they did.